Well, yeah. So we're going to be talking about creating a web UI with Asp Net Core, and I'll let Myra talk a bit because I'll be live coding next.
Yes, and so we're going to be following a Learn module. And what is Microsoft Learn? Learn has tons of free lessons. So that's one of the lessons that it's available there. It's interactive learning. You can watch videos and you can practice all the coding and the skills that you want to learn. So there's cloud, there's .net. There's so much content there for you to learn. So I recommend that you watch the session. It's going to be quick. It's just 30 minutes. So we're going to try to pack as much as we can in 30-minute session. But go after you watch the conf, go to aka.ms/.net-conf-webui to find this content that we're showing today. And this is live and interactive. So say hi, ask questions in the chat. And so I think we have moderators helping there with answering questions. And then if we have time at the end, we'll get to some as well live. And what we're going to be doing today is developing a pizza inventory management page. So who doesn't like pizza? And so we're going to understand when and why to use Razer Pages on your ASP.NET Core app. We're going to use the .NET CLI to create the app using Razer Pages. We're going to create the form that supports that data management requirements, and then we're going to run and test the web app. So this is like a perfect beginner content so for you to learn ASP.NET Core. So this is what we're going to be building. This is our page. This is going to be our final product today.
If everything goes right.
You can do it, John.
Yeah, we hope so. But so first to start with, Myra, can we talk about like when is the right time? And because we've heard at the conference, there's Blazor this and there's, all sorts of minimal API. So when's the right time to use Razer Pages?
All right. So let's start with what are Razer Pages first, right? So what is that? Do you want to cover that?
Sure. So, I mean, our short little spiel about Razer Pages is it's for a server-side, page-centric model. So the idea here is most of your code is going to be running on the server. And, there's a lot of benefits to Razer Pages. It really is nice. Like I've been a web developer for a while. I really like CSS and I like my HTML, my, nice semantic HTML. So it's nice to be able to use those skills with C#.
Yeah, that mixing of HTML, C# code is really neat in Razer Pages.
Yep. Another thing that's nice is the way that you're organizing by features. So, in the past, I've worked with MVC, and MVC is nice, but it's a little scattered. I've got my controllers over here and my pages over here and my models here, and I'm kind of jumping back and forth. So with Razer Pages, it's a little easier to kind of keep things organized and all in my head.
All right.
And so, we kind of think of Razer Pages, as ASP.NET as kind of a web toolkit. You can build all kinds of things with ASP.NET. And that includes, web applications that can include like microservices and APIs and real-time with SignalR. And when you're building the front end part of the application, you've got, three different options here. So, so you've got your Blazor, which is that's if you want to build your client-heavy applications. You want a lot of logic running in the browser. So that's similar sort of feel to like React or Angular. And then we used to have, or we still do have. It's built on top of it, but we've got MVC. MVC's been around for a while, and that, like we're saying, that's organized by controllers. And then Razer Pages, we organize down to the feature instead.
Cool.
And Myra, you've got quite a bit of experience with Razer Pages, especially lately, right?
Yeah. So since I took the job of the program manager for the .NET website, I've been learning tons of Razer Pages. Like my past was like web forms and ASP, like the old ASP.NET. But now, for the year and a half, I have been working with the .net.microsoft.com or .net website, and that's all built like mostly built with Razer Pages. We have one page that is Blazor, but most of the site is built using Razer Pages. So it's like very, is super appropriate for like production ready sites, right? And you get like, we get tons of visits. So it's like you can scale, like we use Azure on the back end, but like for scaling and traffic monitoring, but it's easy to do and people can jump in. Even like people that are not like web developers, there are some PMs that could jump in and help to create some new content on the page, and it's easy to do.
Exactly. I've contributed a few things, and the whole way that it's organized by feature is really nice. I'm able to get in and work on one little page without worrying I'm going to break something else. So that's
indeed, yeah, and it's super easy. All right, so now into our lesson and what we're going to be doing. So we're going to create a new ASP.NET Core App, right? So we're going to create a project. We're going to run and explore what's in the project on the template. Then we're going to compile and run and test it.
And then after that, we're going to be in 2 steps adding this pizza list that we saw earlier. So we're going to add the list, first create the page, and we'll just add the markup and focus on the Razer and the front end.
And then we're going to handle that submission. So what happens after the post and how we interact with the model and handle those validations on the server side as well.
Awesome. So let's just get right into it. And so, with 30 minutes, we got to get through those slides quick and get right to the code. Let me see. I will jump over to my browser. So this is what we're going to be going through. And this has some steps that we'll skip over because we've already kind of talked through those. So we'll go right to this part here where we create a new application. So, and what's kind of neat is we're going to be doing this, of course, with .NET 6. So we'll be able, as we can, to show a little bit about how we're using .NET 6 features. So I've copied that in, and I'm actually going to go to my console, and I've got okay, so I've got .NET 6 installed, and I'm in an empty folder here. So I'll just paste that in. And so we've got a new app, and I'm going to use one of my favorite little shortcuts here. I'm going to say code dot. And from the console, dot is a shortcut to the current directory.
That's a life-changing command.
Yeah, it's really nice. It definitely saves me some time. So here I've got the built-in terminal. I'll be switching over to using that. And, right off the bat, I can just type .NET Watch. And so that'll run the application, and we'll see kind of what you get just when you create a brand new application. So
yeah, and there are a couple of ways to run. So the .NET Watch is using the hot reload, which we'll probably heard throughout the conference, right? And so that one will make sure that once you make changes on your app, it changes the running app for you, so you don't have to worry about stopping the app and running again, right?
Exactly. So here's what we get with a brand new thing, just an empty site. It's got a couple of pages, and it's got hot reload, like you said. It's all set up for that. So now I'll go over to this, and some of the things that are kind of built in. We've got here's the project, it's .NET 6. Here's the hosting, and this is using the kind of minimal templates now. So it's got top level functions, and it's very kind of lightweight. It's 25 lines of code. Uh-oh, did we get an error, Myra?
I don't think so. What does that oh my gosh. What does that say?
Well, so because of the modern web, I'm used to just dismissing everything that pops up on the screen. But this is when you don't want to dismiss. This is actually saying VS Code is detected. This is a .NET application, and it can set me up. So it can add like a launch.json. It can add in some other my launch tasks and stuff. So this is going to make it a little easier for me to actually run the app. So that's what it did there.
Yeah, the template, the minimal template is really cool because you don't have all that using statements, like really clean. But what else do you have there on the project?
Well, so a few things, we've got our kind of our settings and stuff. We've got our www root, which is where we're going to put our static files. So this is where we have like images, we have JavaScript, CSS, and in our libraries, one thing that I'm happy about is we have the brand new, this is .NET 5, or this is Bootstrap 5.1. So that's kind of a neat thing. But the most important thing that we're going to want to talk about here is, here's our Razer pages. So here's an example Razer page. This is our Razer front end. And here we have, like we were talking about, that it's mixing up C# and HTML. So
yeah, and the way you structure is your route on the application as well, right? So like index, it's the kind of the default page, and then you have like /error, or as you add new pages, that becomes your URL.
Exactly. So we're tight on time. So I'm going to get right to the next part, which is adding in a page. So in order to do that, I'll go over here and we'll show you just as you're going through and creating this yourself. These are kind of the steps we'll go through. And I'm going to jump right to step 5, which is add a pizza list page. So when I do this, I would go to right here. And this command, so it says .NET new page. So it's add a page. The name of the page is pizza. We give it a namespace, and then we tell it put it in the pages directory. And that's one I sometimes forget, and then I've got one in the wrong folder and all that. So go ahead and do that. So now you'll see over here, we've got a new empty page, pizza page, and we've got the page model. And the page model is where we're actually going to put the majority of the code.
Okay.
So, all right. So I'm going to jump right over to, because we've got to do some setup steps. I'm actually going to close this and jump to one where we've actually added in a model class and a service. So,
and this is for the sake of time because we're short, but everything is on the lesson. So
yep, exactly. Everything is included right in here. So we're just we're doing this exactly right here. So this model class is, it represents a pizza. This is everything we need to know about a pizza. If we're using Entity Framework, this would be how we'd save it to the database, etc. And then we've also got a service, and our pizza service is just a simple in-memory database kind of. It's how we're actually, when we add a new pizza to the list, it's what we do with it. So, all right, but what we really want to be talking about is Razer. And so we're going to go directly to this markup. So this is our Razer markup. And step 1 is I'm going to paste this in to our pizza page. Oops, I didn't do that. I need to first go back and rerun that command. So, oops, all right. I was trying to be too smart. Let's go back to adding that pizza page.
So the other step, right? So I think you have to go back.
So I did it in one application, but not the other. Fortunately, very easy to do. And now we're going to go back and grab that markup we're going to be putting in here. So here's that. And this will go in our pizza page. So I'm just going to grab that and paste it in. We can talk about it for a little bit here. So
yeah.
So first of all, you'll notice this is HTML. We've got H1s and forms and divs, but we also have some other stuff here. So what's this @ sign?
So that's when you want, like the blocks of, it's like the Razer syntax. So whenever you want to have the C# code, you use the @ sign to indicate that's where your code starts, right?
Okay. So I notice a few places in here where it does that. And a simple one is something like this, where it says pizza.name. So that's where it's just injecting like a variable into the markup.
Yeah, so you're using like properties there. I'm also seeing like string interpolation. I'm also seeing like a model, like a method. So it's like you can call any kind of, you have a for each loop before that as well. So you're mixing that C# code with HTML, and using the @ to call, like to invoke that code in C#.
Yep. But when we need to run like more complex C#, like for instance, a loop, then we can do something like that. And here we've got that for each, and then we've got the braces. And so we can loop over every pizza in the list and write it out. So that's kind of nice. One other thing in here, just very quick, we'll cover is tag helpers. So these are things for, like, for instance, binding. We can add, we can bind to a pizza object, and we can write it directly out there and validate it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like your model has some attributes, like require attributes, so that will make the validation. When you invoke the validation, it will bind that and know that that's like a required field, or if it has like some size or like ranges, it will automatically do that for you, right?
Yep, exactly. And one really neat thing too is, like, for instance, here's a more complex one, this Asp Validation Summary. So when we validate an object, when we say, did you enter all the fields required on the form, then it'll actually write that all out for us.
Awesome.
So that's the front end. But if we ran this right now, it wouldn't even compile. And that's because it needs a pizza model and it needs some other stuff. And so that actually is going to go in here. And so, so first of all, when we run the application, this is an HTTP GET. It's going to say, you know, like display the page. And so we need to kind of fill in some stuff there. So hopefully I've got, again, in the interest of time, there it is. Here's our stuff to handle that GET.
So you're reading the pizzas from the pizza service that you created earlier.
Exactly. So it's going to say, create a pizza service. It's going to populate that into a list. And now when the page is displayed, that Razer Markup is going to have that data available to display. And you'll see it's a little unhappy because I need to add some usings. So let's go ahead and do that. There's our couple of usings, and then that's made that happy.
Yay.
So that's all we need to display the page. But then we noticed, like, there was a list at the top, and then there's or there's a list at the bottom, but there's a form to fill out. And when we fill out that form, it's actually going to be posting that form back, and we need to handle that post. So there's, let me fill this in. So this is the on-post method.
So now you can add new pizzas.
Exactly. And what's really cool about this, it's not a lot of code. So I'll zoom in just slightly here. So first of all, we say, is it valid? So did it pass all the validation rules? And those validation rules are all spelled out here. So for instance, the string name is required. And the pizza needs to cost between 1 cent and under $10,000. We're not selling the high-end pizza. No Bitcoin pizzas here. So, so it validates, you know, it says, is this a valid pizza? And then it adds it to the list, and then it redirects it back to this get page or get method and displays it.
Why are you redirecting?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is called the post redirect get style or whatever. It's a way of handling form posts. And this solves a lot of problems. One being that if I refresh a page where I've just posted a form, it's going to try and post that form again. So what's nice with this is it handles that validation, saving, and then it redirects to the get, and I can refresh this page over and over. It's just going to keep getting that page.
That's very smart.
I've got 1 or 2 other little things in here. I've got a delete method. So that's if we want to delete from the list. So we actually have separate little delete things in the page, and little separate forms for each delete button. So I handle those. One other really cool thing that I like about Razer is that I can include these little helper methods. So in the page, I've got a Boolean that says, is gluten-free? And I don't want to like show true or false. Like that's kind of ugly, right? I want to actually like format that and style it nicely. So I call this gluten-free text method, and that gluten-free text, I think I called that helper. That's just this. And what's neat with a page model in Razer Pages is I can write any code I want, and I can access it from the Razer. So what that allows me to do is keep my Razer as lightweight as possible. Don't put a bunch of logic in there. Don't go on format, like really simple loops, and then put all my code, organize that code in the back end.
Okay, so you're like keeping it more clean on the Razer side, and then adding the helpers on the code behind.
Exactly. All right. So with that all done, hopefully we can run this. So we'll go down here.
Moment of truth now.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. One neat thing about this, by the way, you'll see with .NET 6 is we're actually creating a different template. So it used to always be 5,000, excuse me, a different port. So now it's going to create a random port number, I think in the 7,000s. I'm guessing it's going to be 7287.
Did you peek on your JSON file?
No, I just ran it. No, I should have looked. Oh, I was not even close. It's 7072. So it's now listening on that port. Whoop. Okay. So let's go up there.
And that's saving one of the app settings, JSON, I think. Like one of the.
It is. Yep. Or launch settings.
Oh, launch settings. Yeah.
So there. Okay. I'm trying to. So it's 7072. Let's go over here. There it is. Okay. So we don't browse directly to that page. We go to the index, but because we called that page pizza, just browse there. Ooh, it worked.
Yay!
Right. So now I'll go, I'll add a cheese pizza. We'll make it a medium. And let's just make this one free.
Okay.
We can't do that, right? Because our validation rule failed. We need something under $10,000, but over a penny. So we'll just make that 10, make it gluten-free. We'll say add. So there we go. It's been added to the list.
It's all working. Can you delete this file?
Oh, let's tempt fate. There it works.
Yay.
Okay, so this is really, really fast. And if you go through, we just had 30 minutes to go through something that will probably take you closer to an hour or so, depending on your experience. But it really does, kind of drill into all these different things, and it explains the different parts of the code you're writing. So it explains the structure and binding and all those things.
And there is so much more content. So after you finish this lesson, you can keep learning and exploring more about ASP.NET Core and all that you want to learn about .NET and the cloud. And there's so much more.
Yeah, and we've updated for .NET 6, and we've also just added a few for minimal APIs. So there's a lot there. So wow, we did a lot though in under a half hour.
We did, we made it, and it ran on first time without issues. Congratulations.
All right. Well, yeah. So as you were saying, there are a lot of additional resources we've got there. We added, so this is the specific one that we just went through. And then we've got, here's a list of some of our top resources. So there's this, there's a Let's Learn event where we went through this same tutorial and took 2 hours to do it. So that's a little more depth. And then on the .NET site that we talked about earlier, there's a lot of great content there.
Yeah, there's so many resources. There are videos, there is lessons. So go check it out.
One other exciting thing is coming up starting very soon. So there's a lot of stuff going on this week. And then if you want some deeper dives in the same sort of format, we've got a modern web development Let's Learn series coming up.
Yeah, so Handsome and I are kicking off next week on Monday. We're going to be doing this lesson, but like an extended version of this. We'll have more time to go through the concepts. So tune in if you want to learn more and have a more in-depth lesson there.
Very cool.
So I don't know, do we have questions?
Dun, dun, dun. If we don't,
we are hosts now.
Yep.
Yeah, we're trying to see, and I'm trying to break this out. There we go. Okay, so let me look here. Do we have any good questions? We actually had a couple of interesting comments about the couple of interesting comments from the last presentation. A lot of people were very excited about Samir's demos. They had a lot of good things to say. This is me stalling to try to figure out how to put that on screen. Where is it? I don't know where the thing is anymore. So my apologies. Let me think here. Do we see any questions specific to this?
Look at the new post.
Oh, there's one new post. We do have one comment. I can't pull it up on screen right now. I have to ping Jeff here in a second, make sure I know how to pull this up in a moment. So my apologies. We do have one tweet from Douglas Starnes, who said, if you're enjoying .NET Conf, there's no reason you shouldn't be. I completely agree. Don't forget that all the content is going to be archived on the .NET YouTube channel. That's exactly right. You'll be able to watch this all anytime you want after we close out the show. So we'll have all that capability later on, and all the demos we put up on GitHub as well. We don't have any specific questions because I think y'all answered all of them during your fantastic tutorial. So I think we're probably going to go ahead.
I can show real quick. You know, we taught. Here's the .NET website. So cool. This is kind of if you're new to it or whatever. We try and think of this as like the first place you should stop when you're trying to find out anything about .NET. So if you go here, you click on Web. And then there's all kinds of stuff. Here's a Blazor tutorial. Here's all the different sorts of things you can build. If you go into web apps, this will take you through a getting started tutorial that'll take you under 10 minutes. So it's very kind of quick to start there. And then at the very end of it, we have some different, you know, like for instance, learning materials. So here's where we try and put all our top things. And this includes all sorts of different, you know, when we create new Learn modules, et cetera, this is where we put them. So there's a lot there. And then once you click through here, this will take you over to Learn or, you know, bring you to video series, et cetera. So that's kind of our little sales pitch for all the different things we have available.
Cool beans. Awesome work. Well, it's been great to see y'all. Nice little reunion. Thanks a lot for your service, John.
Sure.
And thanks a lot for all the great content for both of you.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
That was
you.
excellent.
Awesome. Take care. We're going to transition now.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.